The Gusnets grant the one.
You're a menace. Stay away from me.
You trash my property. Leave now.
A neighbor's nightmare. It was a Tuesday in the small town of Willow Creek, Ohio, one of those dreary, overcast days where the sky hung low like a heavy curtain, and the air carried a damp chill that seeped into your bones. I'm Charles Bennett, a 52-year-old business consultant who'd just endured a grueling 9-hour meeting downtown. My suit felt like a straitjacket, my tie a noose. All I wanted was to get home, kick off my shoes, pat my dog Max on the head, and whip up a burger and freeze a simple ritual to wash away the day's stress. But I was out of ketchup. That's where this story begins, in the condiment aisle of a neighborhood grocery store, with a single bottle of Heinz that would unravel my life in ways I never could have imagined. This isn't just a tale of a bad day. It's a warning about the kind of evil that hides behind a grandmotherly smile, the kind that can turn a mundane errand into a battle for your sanity, your home, and your dignity. This is the story of my war with Margaret Hensley, a woman who turned a grocery store spat into a campaign of terror, and how I fought back. The spark in the express lane. The Willow Creek Market was the heart of our town, a cozy place with creaky linoleum floors and fluorescent lights that buzzed like a distant swarm of bees. It was familiar, comforting, the kind of store where the cashiers knew your name. I walked in, my polished shoes clicking softly, and grabbed a bottle of ketchup before heading to the express lane clearly marked 10 items or fewer. I had one item. The choice was obvious. That's when I saw her. She was hovering near the checkout, a woman in her late 70s with a cloud of brittle, over-bleached hair and an outfit that screamed defiance. A faded teal tracksuit top paired with neon pink pants. Her cart was a fortress of groceries: canned soups, a rotisserie chicken, a gallon of milk, stacks of toilet paper, easily 50 items. I gave her a polite nod as I stepped into the express lane, not thinking much of it. Why would I? She was just another shopper. But her eyes told a different story. Small, dark, and buried in a web of wrinkles, they scanned the store with a predatory glint, like a hawk searching for prey. I placed my ketchup on the conveyor belt, and the cashier, Emily, a young woman with a nose ring and a weary smile, scanned it. "Just the ketchup today, Mr. Bennett?" she asked. "Yep, long day," I replied, pulling out my wallet. That's when the air shifted. "Excuse me," a voice rasped behind me, sharp and venomous, like a knife slicing through the store's hum. I turned. It was her, Margaret Hensley, as I'd later learn. She'd maneuvered her overflowing cart behind me, blocking the lane, and was pointing a bony finger at me, her nail chewed to the quick. "Are you serious?" she snapped, her voice rising. "You think you can just cut in front of me? Because of your fancy suit?" I was baffled. I glanced at my ketchup, then at the 10 items or fewer sign, then back at her. "I'm sorry, is there a problem?" I asked, keeping my tone neutral. "Is there a problem?" she mimicked, her voice a cruel caricature. "The problem is you. You think the rules don't apply to you." The store went quiet. Emily froze, her hand hovering over the scanner. A woman in the next aisle pretended to study a box of cereal, but her eyes were locked on us. I felt the spotlight of attention, my stomach tightening. I'd spent my career de-escalating corporate conflicts, so I leaned on instinct. "Ma'am," I said calmly, "this is the express lane for 10 items or fewer. I have one item. Your cart has more. You'll need to use another lane." I offered a small smile, the kind that usually diffuses tension. It was like pouring gasoline on a fire. Her face twisted into a snarl, her wrinkles deepening. "Don't you talk down to me, you arrogant jerk," she shrieked. The word jerk echoed in the silence. "I was here first. You people are always so impatient. You people." The phrase hung in the air, heavy with venom. I'm a black man in my 50s, and I've heard those words before. They weren't about the line anymore. This was something uglier, something personal. My calm wavered, but I held firm. "Ma'am, there's no need for that language. This is the store's rule, not my opinion." The manager, Mr. Thompson, a nervous man with a bad comb-over, scurried over. "Is everything okay here?" he asked, his eyes darting between us. "No, it's not," Margaret spat, turning on him. "This man is harassing me. He cut in front of me, and now he's threatening me." My jaw dropped. Threatening her? I hadn't moved an inch. "That's a lie," I said, my voice shaking with disbelief. "Oh, you see his tone," she cried, clutching her chest like a damsel in distress. Then, with theatrical flair, she pulled out her phone and dialed 911. "Hello, I'm at the Willow Creek Market on Elm Street. There's a man here, very aggressive. I think he's on drugs. He's a large black man in a suit, and he's cornered me. I'm terrified for my life." The world slowed. Her words were a calculated weapon, painting me as a stereotype designed to summon fear. I looked at the ketchup bottle, now a pathetic symbol of the normalcy I'd lost. Shoppers stared, some horrified, others suspicious. Mr. Thompson stood frozen. I knew staying meant facing police who'd hear her story first. "Forget the ketchup," I told Emily, and walked out, my heart pounding. The chase. I thought leaving would end it. I was wrong. As I pulled out of the parking lot, I glanced in my rearview mirror and saw her rusty beige sedan tailing me. My 10-minute drive home became a nightmare. Margaret's car stuck to my bumper through the tree-lined streets of Willow Creek. At a stop sign, I tested her, turning onto a side street I never take. She followed, tires squealing. This wasn't a coincidence, she was hunting me. Panic surged. Should I call the police? Her 911 call had already framed me as the aggressor. My hands gripped the wheel, knuckles white. She started honking long, furious blasts that drew stares from neighbors watering lawns or fetching mail. They saw my sleek sedan and her beat-up car, her wild gestures. Who would they blame? In a just world, the answer was clear. This wasn't a just world. She tailgated so closely her headlights vanished from my mirror, her car's grill like a snarling beast. I sped up, desperate for distance. She matched me. I faced a choice: lead her to my home or drive aimlessly, risking more attention. Foolishly, I hoped she'd back off once she knew where I lived. I turned onto Maple Drive, my street, lined with old oaks and my modest bungalow, a place I'd made my sanctuary. As I pulled into my driveway, dread washed over me. I was leading a predator to my door. Margaret parked across the street, half on my neighbor's lawn, and stormed out, leaving her car door open. Her face was a mask of rage. Then my front door opened, and Max, my 100-pound Bernese mountain dog, bounded out, tail wagging, thinking I was home to play. Margaret's eyes lit with a new madness. "A vicious pit bull," she screamed, though Max looked nothing like one. "He's sicking his dog on me." She marched toward my lawn, not toward me, but toward my property life. She stomped up to my car, her face inches from the window, spewing slurs and obscenities. Then she spat on the glass, the saliva sliding down like a mark of contempt. I fumbled for my phone to record, but she wasn't done. With surprising strength, she kicked my car door, leaving an ugly dent. She kicked again, each blow a violation. Max growled from the porch, sensing danger. Margaret turned, grabbed my sturdy mailbox, and yanked until it splintered and fell. She unraveled my garden hose, kicked over a ceramic gnome my niece gave me, and then charged at Max, raising the broken mailbox post like a club. That was the line. My car was metal, my mailbox wood, but Max was family. I leapt out, shouting, "Get away from my dog." She spun, waving the post. "Assault," she screeched. "He's attacking me." Sirens wailed. 2 police cruisers screeched to a halt. Officers Daniels and Carter emerged, hands on their holsters. The scene was chaos. Me, a black man in a suit, yelling. Margaret, an elderly white woman, feigning terror with a weapon in hand. Max barking. "Everybody freeze," Daniel shouted. Margaret dropped the post, burst into tears, and wailed. "He followed me home. He's a monster." They cuffed me before I could speak, pushing me against my dented car while comforting Margaret. She looked back at me, her tears gone, her eyes cold and triumphant. I was driven a block away, parked in the cruiser, watching them treat her like a victim. When they finally uncuffed me, Daniels took my statement, but his skepticism was palpable. "So, she followed you home and trashed your property over a grocery line?" he asked. "Look at my car, my mailbox," I pleaded. "Check her record." They took both our statements, declared it a he said, she said, with no witnesses, and let us go. Margaret smirked as she drove off. I returned to my tainted home, no longer a sanctuary. The siege. The next morning, I learned Margaret had filed a harassment complaint and an emergency restraining order against me, accusing me of terrorizing her. The system was her weapon. A letter from Hensley, Ward and Associates, her son Robert Hensley's law firm, arrived, threatening to sue me for defamation unless I removed my security cameras and apologized. My neighborhood turned against me. On Maple Drive, friendly waves became cold stares. A post on the Neighborly app, under Concerned Resident 66, painted me as a violent threat. Comments from neighbors I'd hosted for barbecues piled on, fueled by Margaret's lies. She'd gone door to door, poisoning my community. Her harassment escalated. Late at night, her sedan parked across my street, a silent menace on my cameras. Silent calls from blocked numbers came daily, her breathing audible. She warned a pizza delivery kid that I was dangerous, isolating me further. I was a prisoner in my own home, my career suffering, my sleep gone. I called my friend Tom, a lawyer. "This is a campaign of harassment," he said. "We need evidencia fortress of facts." I installed high-definition cameras around my property, turning my home into a surveillance state. Each motion alert spiked my adrenaline. But for days, it was just her car, lurking, taunting, staying just outside the restraining order's 500-foot radius. The ally. One rainy afternoon, a frail figure approached my door. Mrs. Clara Thompson, a neighbor who'd avoided me for weeks. Nervously, she apologized for her silence. "Margaret's vindictive," she said. "Her son Robert terrifies everyone." She revealed Margaret's history, including her torment of the Wilsons, a mixed-race family driven out 5 years ago with slashed pool toys and false accusations. "We all saw it," Clara admitted, "and did nothing." "Would you testify?" I asked. After a long pause, she nodded. "It has to stop." Clara's story was a lifeline. Tom and I dug deeper, uncovering Margaret's decades-long pattern of harassment in Willow Creek and nearby Oakwood. She'd sued neighbors over trivialities, targeted a gay couple with false claims, and backed her car into a Hispanic landscaper's truck, claiming self-defense. Her playbook was clear: weaponize her age and her son's influence to terrorize minorities. The trap. Tom crafted a plan to bait Margaret. I played the part of a happy man, gardening with a smile, placing a cheerful frog statue where she'd smashed my gnome. On Neighborly, I posted about a Maple Drive Unity barbecue, thanking Clara publicly a direct challenge to Margaret's bigotry. We added covert cameras, a rock camera near the porch and a birdhouse camera with audio. Days before our court hearing, at 2 a.m., my phone buzzed. The feed showed Margaret creeping across my lawn with a gas can, heading for Max's water bowl. Her voice hissed through the birdhouse mic. "This'll shut you up, you filthy beast. You and your arrogant master don't belong here." I called Tom, then 911, reporting an intruder with an accelerant. Sirens blared within minutes. Officers Daniels and Carter caught Margaret mid-act, gas can in hand. She raged, accusing me, but the cameras told the truth. They cuffed her, her screams of "My son will destroy you," echoing as they dragged her away. The reckoning. In court, our evidence was undeniable: videos, Clara's testimony, and Margaret's history of lawsuits. The judge, unmoved by Robert Hensley's influence, dismissed Margaret's restraining order, charged her with stalking, vandalism, and attempted animal cruelty, and issued a permanent restraining order against her. She was sentenced to a year in jail and ordered to pay for my damages. Robert's firm tried to appeal, but public outcry fueled by the Neighborly post going viral forced accountability. My neighbors apologized, some joining the barbecue, which became a celebration of justice. My home was mine again, Max safe, my life reclaimed. A call to action. This wasn't just my fight, it's a story of how one person's hatred can exploit a system meant to protect us. I share it to urge you to stand against injustice, to document, to fight. What are your thoughts? Have you faced violence or unfairness in your life? Share your story in the comments. Take a stand, speak your truth. Let's spark a conversation that can't be ignored.